All right, guys, welcome. It is Monday, December 23rd. We're here, obviously, by the title, we're here to discuss Real Housewives of Potomac. I have a lot of things to say about not only the episode, but there's so much that is being left out this season, and it's very perplexing. We're going to discuss that because Jasmine Brand also put out an article today referencing something that did get taken out, which I do understand why it was taken out. But nonetheless, there's multiple things going on behind the scenes, and it seems to be a little bit more interesting than what's happening on the show currently. So we're going to dive into that. And yeah, it is Christmas week. Christmas is in 2 days, a day and a half. So hopefully you guys have all your gifts and your wrapped, dare I say. Do people wrap this early or do people wrap on Christmas Eve? I typically like to do right up on Christmas Eve, like the morning of, not closer to the evening. At any rate, let's just get right into the show because, again, I have a lot to say. So let's get into this.
We need to talk about this. Every rumor, every twist on the Georgio Says podcast. We need to talk about. So hit that play, stay in the know. Georgio's here to steal the show. On the Georgio Says podcast, we need to talk about this. We need to talk about this.
All right. Yes, we need to talk about this. All right. So we're definitely going to be discussing Real Housewives of Potomac. But it really there's so much going on, like I said at the top, that is not being shown. And like just recently, Jasmine Brand, shout out to Jasmine Brand, put out an article out that basically says that Giselle asked for a scene that occurred, I guess, during what we watched last night in reference to her two daughters. I guess Mia, she really did take it there. I said in my short recap, though, I think, Giselle was towing the line with Mia a little bit because I think she does understand that Mia will just go to the gutter and even further. Just for a moment, and she doesn't want to do that probably more than likely to her children, her daughters, because they will watch this back and those comments stay out there forever. And so Giselle, as any mom would, obviously probably was like, look, I don't want this playing for my daughters to hear. So I completely understand that. But there's other things that get cut out, or there's certain people on the cast, Stacy, I'm looking at you, where, there's just people are not being honest, and they're playing a game because they want something out of it, hopefully. And it's, after watching last night's episode, it really dawned on me that, there's not much happening. And unfortunately, we have Mia who is going, I don't want to say above and beyond, but she's going to the most, what I think are horrible places to then draw up a storyline to then hopefully keep that like seat next to Andy. And I just think it's just not a good vibe. I don't care, about all the other stuff. I just find it sad that she's dragging her children into this and weaponizing Gordon's mental health against him. It's just, I mean, I could go on and on. But there's a point, in this episode that aired last night where, and I'll recap the episode, but I want to bring up something specific because Mia is talking to Jackie outside of Karen's home because in the episode, and we saw at the tail end of last week's episode, Jacqueline showed up unannounced, uninvited, with 8 pink heart balloons and her dog, and she just stomps onto Karen's backyard, doesn't even go to the front door. She just walks straight to the back like she knows the joint. Um, but she's standing out on the street. And if you know Potomac, if you've ever been in the area, where Karen is, I don't know her specific neighborhood, but they're generally similar in the way that they are. It's just like there's these like it's all like these private roads that are just connected to the neighborhood. So like you'll have a house to the right and then come all the way down their driveway, and then there's just like this main kind of like just a normal street, but it just looks a little bit more, you know, away from the street. Like the houses are not so close up on the street. So where Jackie and Mia were walking, because Ray walked Jacqueline out, and she brings up this whole thing about like, I can stand out here because she doesn't own the street. And Mia's like, yeah, she doesn't really need to be saying anything about trespassing because she doesn't even own this house, she rents. Okay, like trying to just gas Jacqueline up because you know this is her her secondary storyline, if you will. And I believe she uses Jacqueline as a secondary like storyline plot B, if you will, because she knows Jacqueline's so thirsty to be a flute holder on the show that now you can even see the resentment in Jacqueline in a lot of the scenes, like when she makes these little comments like, oh, I wasn't invited to this. It was like, well, you're not a full-time cast member, you know? But I do believe she's only being brought on just to add more mess, and Mia can get her to do things that, she may not want to do all by her lonesome self. And, it's just a mess. That's all I can say about it. Between, obviously Karen's DUI and in this situation, as episodes are airing, there is no information about any of that. So it's just falling flat. And now we're focused back in on this conversation around what Mia and you know Jacqueline are talking about outside about, oh, Karen doesn't even own her home, she rents it. Now, from what I understand, because I did do some digging and I wanted to understand, like, A, does Karen own? Does she rent? Is it what's going on? And even if she is renting, it doesn't matter if someone's renting a home, that's still their space. That doesn't mean that you have free reign to just stomp all the way up the backyard and interrupt a party that you knew about but you weren't invited to. Again, like just showing up, just being a mess, just all for the sake of getting camera time. And Mia absolutely did put her up to it. But I say that to say what I did find was, and I can't seem to figure out how to pull it up on here, but I will post it on my Instagram stories for you guys, is I found a Maryland, you can do a court case search, which is what basically most of the cast members did when Karen got her, when she was in her accident and got the DUI situation. Everyone, Maryland chose all that stuff. But nonetheless, the point came up about renting, but yet, when you look at Mia's, this situation that I'm about to explain to you guys, it's a little perplexing because it's like, well, why are you even bringing this up? Like, I get so confused when someone says something and tries to be shady or tries to put someone down and they've been in a similar or are in a similar situation to what they're trying to shade. It just, I don't know. It's just weird. Like if it were me, I'd be like, I wouldn't even make a joke about it. You know what I mean? Like, anyways. So apparently there was a court case because Mia failed to pay rent in her, I guess this was her North Bethesda condo. If you recall, she moved out there, they had moved out there or whatnot. And yeah, she this filing date for this was January 18th, 2024. The case has status of being closed, but nonetheless, I mean, she's she can't even keep up with her rent, it seems like. So it's just odd that this is something that she would point out. I also want to point out, speaking because I did say there's been a lot of stuff that's been deleted. I also got some tea on something that was deleted that I wish we did get to see play out because I think it would have been funny. And it does add to my speculation around, Stacy and TJ. But essentially, you guys, I like again, I will post these uh screenshots on my Instagram. But apparently, when Stacy, I'm gonna say allegedly, but allegedly when Stacy was, on the show, she's filming, whatnot. There's, I guess, a moment where maybe she realized like she was going to be full time, and I do believe that that early on production would probably say that's a big no-no to make any type of announcement that you're the new housewife too early because you never know what's going to happen. Like sometimes they come in hot, they fall flat, or sometimes they want to make their decision a little bit later in filming. Nonetheless, well, I guess Miss Stacy allegedly she was very excited, you all, and she really wanted the public to know that she was going to be the new housewife of Potomac. And so she asked someone that is connected to the group. They're not on the show, but they are connected to the group. She asked someone to put it out there that she was going to be the new housewife of Potomac. Well, obviously, then this account posted about it back when they were filming early on, and I guess the execs saw this and came to her, and I guess production was like, well, how did word get out that you are the new housewife? And she just kind of did that, like, oh, I don't know, like, I don't know how that happened, like, oh my gosh. And so it come to find out she lied about that whole situation, and I'll continue to say allegedly, but there was a scene cut out, and again, I'll post these pictures on my Instagram stories, but at Wendy's 40th birthday party, I guess Karen brought this, like, I guess what was the receipts of proving that Stacy was lying about how it got out that she was the new housewife and if she put it out or not. Anyways, they called it the Cookie Crumbles. Sorry, the Cookie Crumble Chronicles. And it was like a little printout page by page of all the text messages between Stacy and this individual that she had asked to put the information out, but then lied and said, no, I don't know what you're talking about, because obviously, like, she's not allowed to do that. So that's all interesting. But yes, there is a lot of things being cut out, like what I was mentioning earlier around Giselle and Mia's conversation in last night's episode, which I even thought kind of was like not the full contact. Like I felt like there was something bigger cut out of that conversation, but I took it as what it was and thought, okay, well, maybe Giselle just doesn't want to go too far down that rabbit hole with her, because again, she does seem like she would definitely do whatever, and she clearly did, because Giselle then went and had a scene cut out because basically Mia was calling Giselle's daughters whores, in that conversation. So it got pretty heated, which makes sense to my first observation of like, something seems like it got cut out, but not in like this is edited, but it was like really edited, because I was like, wait, how? Okay. Real quick, let me just say to a couple people in the chat. Hi, April. Happy Monday. Hope everyone's doing well. Hi, Adam. How are you? Yes, it's so gross what she's doing to her boys and Gordon. I agree. Hi, Alanis. How are you? Hi, not paid by anyone. Thank you for joining. Yes. Okay. So that was kind of like those tidbits that I wanted to get off my chest before I dive into the recap for last night's episode. But I have a lot of opinions specifically around Mia and just all of this nonsense. So let's go ahead and jump right into this episode recap.
Real Housewives episode recap. We need to talk about this. Let's get into this episode recap.
All right, let's get into the episode recap indeed. Okay, so we're starting the episode. Obviously, we're at Karen's house still. And, Jacqueline has just arrived with her pink heart balloons, 8 of them to be exact, because she wants to have a moment, in my opinion. Like, there's no reason why anybody would show up to someone's house unannounced. You knew that there was a party. You knew you weren't invited. You were specifically told you were not invited to this party at Karen's house, and you still decided, you know what? They're not going to film that show without me. I'm going to do something. How can I do this? And this is what played out in my head. She called Mia. Mia was like, oh, why don't you, I don't know, like, go get some balloons and just like, I'll text you the address and you can just like drop by, while we're like hanging out. I'm sure it'll be fine. She'll let you stay. And then Karen didn't let Jacqueline stay, and rightfully so. I mean, Jacqueline from the jump came in not really trying to embrace Karen or let her, communicate what was going on with everything. You know what I mean? Or not leave it up to her. But it seems like Jacqueline also is very thirsty to be on the show. Like I said at the top of the show, I feel like she would do anything, I don't think she's a good fit for the show. And not because she's annoying, because there's a lot of housewives that are on TV that are annoying per se, but there's something about the fact that I feel like I don't want to watch someone who clearly just puts themselves above everything and anything, no matter what, no matter the cost, just for some fame. Because and also there's a weird dynamic between Jacqueline and Mia. I don't care. I'm going to say it. I think it's really, 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 it's giving me single white female vibes. Like Jacqueline wants Mia's life. And it's like, it's weird because Mia knows this, but she kind of likes it. It's like it gets her off a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like that there's someone that wants her life so badly. This is my perception, by the way, because I I wouldn't keep going back to a show, to a group of women that didn't value me enough to, bring me on the show respectfully, in a way that doesn't involve me having to do these crazy antics. Showing up to a party uninvited with balloons, looking crazy, bringing your dog, letting your dog run on someone else's property without like it's all that for some camera time, and it backfired. You got sent home. You're standing in the middle of the street demanding that no one can tell you what to do here because she doesn't own the street. It's like, you're right. But why stay where you're not wanted? That's what I want to know. And that's something that I feel like Jacqueline, she keeps just putting herself in these situations. And you hear her in past episodes saying, like, oh, you didn't invite me to, I don't get invited to group events anymore. Like, and it's just, well, it's for a good reason. Now, is Jacqueline probably a nice person? Sure. But I don't think that she's good for the show. I think the show's getting a little stale. I think this season, I think people were really relying on this Karen DUI situation to make the show. And you know what I'm saying? And it's not, because she isn't talking about it because she can't. So there's nothing to discuss, and no one else has anything really going on. Mia has a lot going on though, but she's putting everything out on display like it's just no big deal. No harm, no foul, you know? And to be clear, and for the article that came out about the Jasmine brand with Giselle and Mia, Mia also agreed that she wanted that taken out because she didn't want the backlash. Because there's no way that anybody would have sided with Mia after watching her on television calling another woman's daughters whores. Like that's just not going to ever read well. And there's also this rule where we don't bring up the children, but see, Mia doesn't have any of those limitations. She will bring up the children. She's bringing up her own children. She's even questioning one of her child's paternity just for a storyline. She did IVF. What is the paternity test for? I mean, please correct me. I'm just in my mind, if you did IVF, wouldn't it be a phone call? Wouldn't it be as simple as being like, "Oh, I can confirm this now. I can put all of your questions to bed. Call the person that did the IVF. Hi, could you please tell me whose sperm did you use when you did the IVF process? Oh, it's Gordon. Great. Thank you so much. There you go. Now it's like, oh, I don't know. Like that is kind of gross to me. But like, yes, I think sometimes things do happen on, while they're filming. And, there are times where I do think it's appropriate to have something cut out per a housewife's request. And one of those things is children being discussed. Because I don't think it's fair. They didn't sign up for this. They're supporting their mom when they show up on camera. Giselle doesn't want them to get called whores on national television. Like that's taking it too far. So that's why yes, I get it. Mia's great for TV, but is she? Because is anyone watching Potomac? No, truly, is anyone watching? I haven't caught up on the ratings lately. I need to look. I'm just wondering because it feels like there's some elements missing from this group of women. And we're going into this dark place. And Mia's really showing just what type of human she is, edit or not. It's not an edit. You're actively doing these things and saying these things. But nonetheless, we shout out to Kay, who, poor thing, didn't get to have any lunch at Karen's house because it all had dairy pretty much. And but look, I already talked about Karen's situation. Obviously, we know at this point that those body cam footage videos have come out. And I talked about that on my live on Thursday, I believe. And so not really going to touch on that again. However, I do understand that, there are some points in this episode where it's like, oof, this didn't age well, based on some of the commentary in her interviews. Nonetheless, though, it's time to head over to Panama. The ladies are going to Panama. They all have new chapters they're starting in different ways. And Jacqueline is actually invited on this trip. So thank God, because I can't imagine if she wasn't invited, what that would look like. But yes, the ladies do get to the airport, and it's clear that Karen doesn't want anything to do with Jacqueline for a number of reasons. But what I found really interesting and funny is that if you guys know Dulles Airport, if you have ever flown into Dulles Airport, or you live in the DMV and you fly out of Dulles, there's nothing. They shoot it in such a way it makes it seem so much more like, I don't know, dare I say nicer? I don't want to put the airport down, but I really don't like that airport. It's annoying to me. The layout of it's annoying. Nonetheless, they're all standing at their check where they're checking their bags, and then they get on their flight. Well, that's great. Then they finally land in Panama. Even better. Wendy's doing excellent so far. But then we get on the Sprinter, and Wendy's being a good host. She's explaining the accommodations, if you will. She's got 3 villas. All the women are going to have their own room. No one's going to have to share. Excellent news for Stacy and Kay, who had to do the bunk bedrooms at was it at Wendy's 40th, or was it when they went down to North Carolina? I think that was Mia's North Carolina trip. Nonetheless, so great news. But the women are already tired. It's been a long day already. And then Wendy drops in there. Oh, and by the way, it's going to take 2 hours to get to this resort. 2 hours? That's crazy. But then I was like, not really, because when Jeff and I went to Tulum for the first time for my birthday, like 2 years ago at this point. It was sort of similar to that. Like, we flew into Cancun, and then we had car service take us from Cancun airport, and it was like an hour and 45 minutes to drive us to Tulum. So, I mean, yes, I'm not saying that's the standard, but I guess depending on the resort and where the airport is, yeah, I guess 2 hours is, I guess, it's just a long time to be in a Sprinter van with a bunch of people. It's one thing to be with one other person. It's quite another to be with a group of people that you've been traveling with all day because you've had no space to yourself. You're like, you're trying to adjust. So I would have been like really annoyed, or I would have pulled a Meredith Marks and just passed out and just been like, wake me up when we get there. But then I'm like, no, because they filmed that entire ride. So I'm not going to fall asleep because I'm be afraid. I'm like going to be on camera drooling and everyone's going to be talking about it. Anyways, we get a moment where Ashley and Mia and Stacy are having kind of like, I don't want to call it an intimate moment, but everyone's kind of doing their own thing. They're either sleeping or they're just like on their phones. And Mia tries to have a nice moment with Stacy, and she's like, you know what? I know I give you a lot of crap and I shade you a lot, but I just want to say I do respect you and think you're a good mom. That to me was like, okay, out of left field. And secondly, I don't know how genuine that is, because has Mia seen Stacy with her daughter? Like, how do you know? You know what I mean? So I just feel like there's some like manipulation with that. But anyways, so Ashley then brings up, because as we know, Ashley's also dating this guy still. I don't know if she's still dating him now, but in these episodes, she's very smitten with him. I do agree with Wendy. He does look like Jack Harlow, or he could be Jack Harlow's brother or something. He's definitely got the Jack Harlow vibes. But I also see, I said this, I think it was last week's recap that I did. I think they're good together. I can feel their like vibes. You know what I mean? Like, they have good vibes together. So I mean, I don't know. I need to check and see. I mean, I feel like they would be a good duo. I don't know. Anyways, so we finally get to the resort. The ladies get to their villas. But before that, Wendy gives, the keys out, obviously, to who's going to be in each villa. And poor Karen gets put in a villa with Jacqueline. Now, obviously, Wendy is stirring the pot and being messy, because what's a trip? I mean, she says this in her interview. She says, what's a trip without a little chaos, right? Like, she's basically saying, we're here, we've got to make this count. So I've got to mix up the rooms in a way that's, could cause some mess. And listen, I'm here for it, but I just feel like, I don't know. I'm still confused as to why Jacqueline's here. And I don't know what value she's adding other than just being like a side piece to Mia. But the ladies get to their rooms. Everyone's got their rooms. Now, what I thought was really funny was Giselle was 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 roommates with Stacy. Okay, now I already told you guys at the top of this episode about Stacy. Stacy loves being on TV. And I do believe, you guys, I'm sorry, and I've seen this, and I know I'm not the only person that has said this. So I'm not by any means trying to act like I came up with this theory. I've been thinking it, but after watching them at Karen's, more specifically, in the way things have been communicated to me when I did a little digging, you know, on TJ, not for any like dirt, but just to get to know his background. I know he does a lot of acting stuff. And then with Stacy, and I know that like they both did work at QVC. So that was a real story. They do really know each other through that platform. I also know Stacy worked at Fox 5 here in DC. I'm going to say allegedly she was fired from Fox 5, but not for anything like crazy. I think it just didn't work. But nonetheless, I feel like there's just a lot of lying and faking, and it's clear to me. And so if it's that clear to me, then now I'm kind of like not interested. So that's why I'm a little bummed about Stacy, because it's just like all these things. And yes, it did get cut out. And yes, maybe production felt like that's just too much to throw in there. You know, with it being her first season, they want people to like the newbie usually. Otherwise, they wouldn't invest in them. So I don't know. Maybe they'll reference it if Stacy comes back next season. Maybe if perhaps something, because it's feeling like her stories don't even line up. They don't line up because in the Sprinter van, she gets called out on that, right? With TJ saying what he said at Karen's. Basically, they're not in a relationship. It goes from early in the season when they're on that boat and Ashley and her are getting into it. And she's basically telling the ladies, like, you know, TJ is a great man to me. I have this great man in my life. He's my best friend. I love him so much, blah, 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 blah. And now we're like, oh, we're not in a relationship. No, 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 no. Like, it's just weird. So it's just like, it's clear you guys are both in on this because you want to be on TV, right? So I wouldn't be shocked if Stacy did have a deal with TJ because they are friends and they both like, look, it's a win-win. You know, you come, we'll be like kind of in a gray area. You get more exposure, you'll get more acting, and then I'll get more jobs because I'll be more, you know, on a like it won't just be local anymore or just like to like QVC world. It'll be like bigger so we can make this work in our favor. What do you say? What do you say, TJ? Come on, TJ. Be my fake love interest slash. I don't even know. Like, and also, what is a Christian kiss? What is that? I've never heard of that. A Christian kiss? Isn't it just a kiss? A peck? That's what I mean. That's essentially what he gave. They just gave each other a little peck. It wasn't even a kiss, if we're being honest. So it yeah, it feels weird. I don't know. Not interested. That's all I'm gonna say about that. So if we're gonna continue on with this storyline, let's be honest. Uh TJ and you are not going in any type of romantic direction. These are the moments like this season. This is where I start thinking, like, why didn't we bring NECA back for another opportunity? Why? I feel like and I've said this before, I just feel like there's just been such an injustice when it comes to NECA. And I feel like she would have been great in this group this season, you know? So, at any rate, we've got to get to dinner because, you know, the ladies have their first night. So they're having dinner on, I guess, the resort. So they're definitely, you know, trying to keep it casual, but it doesn't seem like it's going to stay that way for long because people, I don't want to say people, certain individuals, Mia, uh, really wanted to go there and just do what they do, right? Do what Mia does. She wants to make these moments for herself. She knows that that's going to add in her favor and get her more camera time. And so for me, I feel like, first we have this conversation with Jacqueline and Karen, who Karen is exhausted at this point. You can just tell. She's so exhausted, but she has to get Jackie in line, right? Because back at the airport, she even told Giselle, I'm gonna show her some OG attitude here. Basically, like, I'm gonna put her in line. I'm not gonna keep, talking to me and disrespecting me like this on camera. Oh, you know? So, but anyways, Jacqueline's explanation of why she trespassed, take it or leave it, guys. I mean, I think had she approached it a different way, I might have bought it. But because of the way she went about doing this whole thing, it just, to me, it was like she was walking backwards. But her explanation essentially was, look, you had 8 citations, okay? I got 8 balloons as pink hearts, and I thought we could release the balloons into the sky to release the weight of those citations and how they're weighing you down. Okay. So then that would have been great had she, again, if you didn't show up to her party unannounced with your dog with these balloons, you didn't come through the front door, you walked all the way around the house. That's super weird. Going to someone's house you weren't invited to, that you didn't have the address to, and then walking around the back of the house to get to the backyard. That's crazy. Uh, and Karen is not buying it, but she is receiving it because obviously, like, Jacqueline's really going for this whole, like, I was really trying to, a sisterhood moment, essentially. No, it was Mia putting you up to doing it because Mia's being messy. That's why, if you notice in the episode, Mia can't stop laughing, and Jacqueline hasn't even really said anything. She's pissing herself laughing. So she definitely was in on this, and she definitely knew what was going on, and she absolutely gave Jacqueline the address. Unless production did. Unless production did. Oh, I forgot to mention, uh, you know what else isn't cool? Just working at a very, like, I don't know. Karen put this really nice lunch together, and then lunch is wrapped up and everyone's done, and Mia jumps in Karen's pool and starts twerking. It's just wild. Anyways, the conversation starts to go in a direction where now Karen's saying she's looking into pressing charges against Mia. Not Mia, excuse me, Jacqueline, for trespassing. She's looking into it. She's looking into it, which means she's not. She just needed to scare her a little bit. But then Karen goes on to say, and everyone thinks this is funny, and yes, this was a bit of a, like, a a deflection, but it is true. You are not allowed to, like, let balloons just fly up into the sky, at least here. I know that. I know that much. So when she said that, yes, I laughed, but I also know that that's true. So there's nothing, like, it wasn't like she wasn't making that up. And it does contribute to environmental waste. It's not good for birds. Stacy pointed that out. So yes, it's not good to let balloons go up. And so yeah, I thought that part was really funny because I knew everyone was going to jump on that, where she was like, "Oh no, we can't. You're not allowed to fly balloons." And it's not just a Potomac thing. I believe it's a state of Maryland thing. But yeah. Well, this is a fine time, though, for for Giselle to lay into Mia for bringing up this whole Dominican Republic situation where, she says Giselle's daughters were sneaking, boys into their house. Listen, the fact that Mia brought that up on camera, that should have let everyone know that she'll go at any length and say whatever. Like, you may build a little bit of trust with her off camera. You'll tell her something. She seems like she's cool, but then as soon as those cameras go back up and there's a moment and she's got nothing else, she's gonna pull that thing that there's certain things you just don't bring up, and it shouldn't be any information around someone's kids. It never goes well. It never goes well. But Mia doubles down. She's like, well, they're sneaking guys in through the alley. And it's like, Giselle's like, wait, hold on a second. And then Giselle's point is, if my highlights on Instagram about my family, about my daughters come off as perfect edits to you, that's because they are. Meaning my daughters are perfect to me. So I will highlight whatever I want, whereas Mia, in her mind, she's just so like out there with everything. She doesn't mind being messy, putting it on blast, not putting it on blast. We watched her tell her children for the first time on camera that she's divorcing their dad while trying to make these like these BS cookies. You are insufferable. And now come to find out via shout out to Jasmine Brand, we had a scene cut out from that dinner because Mia was also calling Giselle's two daughters whores. And so Giselle obviously went to executives and was like, absolutely not. Please take that out. And Mia agreed because Mia was like, yeah, please take that out because I don't want them coming for my ass. So it just, she's willing to go there and then maybe backtrack it a little bit if it went too far. But it's not. You are absolutely messy. You're bringing your desperate friend around just so that you can have like a crutch to like lean on when the other storyline isn't boding well for you, because again, people are questioning all of these things around that. But you double down when it came to Giselle's daughters. And it, to me, I see why Wendy, and I clocked this too, but Wendy brings it up and she says, last year when we were sitting at the table and it was her and I remember this because I remember distinctly talking about it on my recap because it was such a big deal to Giselle, where it was these little glances that we saw between Wendy and Candace when Giselle was speaking about her daughters and her daughter going to college in Florida. And I agree, Giselle did really lash out at Wendy and Candace, but Wendy over just some glances that were perceived to be negative. And in this situation, we have Mia just full on verbally calling them, whores, and they're sneaking men in from like dark alleyways and this, that, and the other. And you're just trying to paint a perfect picture. But in reality, basically like they're not these like good girls. It's like, who cares? Like, I don't understand. So that's why it prompted me to think, oh, perhaps maybe Mia is stunted at a level of where, a stage of life where maybe like we're like a teenager and you're super emotional, right? Because your hormones are leveling out, all these things are going on. And sometimes based on what happens to you in your childhood or your teenage years, trauma can stunt that. And so sometimes I feel that impacts how people interact emotionally, mentally. And so I feel like Mia's in a situation like that. Clearly she'll tell you her story, and it's heartbreaking to hear the story and how she had to like grow up the way she did. And I think something along the way stunted her, and now she's in situations where now she's quite literally treating Gordon like, her dad that just won't let her do anything. And she's like, oh, I don't know what I'm waking up to. Is dad going to be nice today? Or is he going to tell me I can't go out with my boyfriend Ink? Like, it's just, it's very juvenile, I guess is the best word that I can use for it. It's juvenile, emotionally, mentally. She fights in a juvenile way. She's quick to go right into the gutter. She's quick to, just go places that you don't need to go. This isn't that type of show, Mia, but now it's kind of feeling like it is that type of show because now you're calling other housewives' daughters whores. Uh, so it is a mess. It is a mess. And I guess, put a pin on it, put a pin in it. And, now we have Mia giving us her sob story about how hard it is living and waking up in her reality every day. And I'm not discounting that it's difficult co-parenting with someone who's got mental health issues. Okay. But knowing that, why do you force all these other things into your children's lives? Like, I just don't understand that. Because for them, it should be like, let them retain all of the innocence and no cares except worrying about what they're going to play with next, what they're going to wear to school the next day, what they're going to like. That's the only thing in my mind that I would be concerned with them focusing on. But them being in earshot of a lot of these conversations that have taken place on camera is astonishing. And if I'm being honest, Gordon's coming off more like he is in a better headspace than Mia is. And he's the one that's got the mental health issue. So, yes, it is very, very, very hard to watch. Um, but outside of that, the show, the episode was lackluster. I think we spent majority of the time at that dinner. And then we cut to the next morning and we have, Jacqueline's trying to get one of the people at the resort to take her picture because she wants to post a little Instagram thirst trap from Panama. And Karen offers to do it, because she's also letting Jacqueline know, okay, you said you were trying to give me an olive branch. I'm letting you know if you don't keep pissing me off from this point going forward, there may be an olive branch extended from my side down the road. And listen, I totally respect that. Give me some space, but I'm not a horrible human being. I'm not that. I mean, well, it depends on what you did to me. If you really piss me off, I'm not taking your picture. I will sit there and I will eat my fruit bowl and drink my coffee and just not give two F's. But we get this very dramatic moment towards the end where Mia's on the phone with her mom. And now, Mia's like, well, where are my kids? Where are my kids? Like, it's just like, what do you mean, where are your kids? First I thought it was a red flag that she was like, well, I found this nanny and I just left the kids with that random. So did you find her on like Craigslist? Like, what's going on? So apparently, I guess they found a nanny to not only watch Mia and Gordon's kids, but I guess Jackie's kids as well. So they were all at Jacqueline's house. So come to find out, Gordon was like, F that. Because he was probably like, who is this nanny? And why are they all at Jacqueline's house? Hell no. Because they're saying it's a nanny, but it could have very well been just like another girlfriend that was like, yeah, I'll come stay at your house while y'all are away and watch the kids and then make them sit upstairs while I invite people over and have a party. So Gordon was like, F that, and went to Jacqueline's house, picked his kids up, and I guess drove them 4 hours away, guessing to North Carolina, to drop them off with a nanny that they do know. And that stood out to me when she said that, when she was like, it was a nanny that used to, I guess, watch the children. And so I guess Gordon knows us. And listen, instead of like, for me, that would have been it. Bags would have been packed and I would have been like, ladies, I've got to go figure this out. My kids are not where I left them. So I got to go. No, she's sitting there. She gets off the phone with her mom. She's going back and forth with Jacqueline because this other nanny's not picking up her phone calls, probably because Gordon was like, you better not pick up Mia's phone calls at any cost. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. And I do believe Mia is trying to paint a different picture of Gordon on camera than what's really going on. I think Gordon needs, I don't know. I don't like what's being portrayed in this situation. And I do feel like Mia is harnessing her children for a really big storyline that is not really something that I want to watch because again, I don't even I don't recap parts of any episodes where there is an interaction with the housewife and their child, not because I have anything against that, but because I just don't want to, I don't know. I find it weird when people are discussing like what a child said on camera as a child to their mom on camera for a reality show. I just think it's weird because obviously we know as children, you might say something that as an adult you would never say or want to like have been put in a situation where you could have said it. Now everyone's seeing you say it. So I typically don't bring up the children, but in this situation it's hard not to because it's her only thing and it's so wackadoodle at the same time. Like, you know what's really interesting? Um I posted a skit um on my Instagram of Mia, it's satire obviously, but like I basically reenacted the scene where she's telling her kids. And do you know that the response is so crazy in the comments? How relate everyone knows someone like Mia, right? Otherwise, that wouldn't have resonated. People know someone that does act like that with their own children. So maybe it is good for television. Maybe those people need someone to, see themselves on TV. Maybe that's the key. Maybe that would help people do better. I don't know. Maybe not. I just feel uncomfortable with the amount of I mean, we're wrapping up the season here in a minute and we're like, this is it. This is the storyline. We still don't even, she didn't confirm anything about the paternity thing, I don't believe either. So are we dragging that out until the reunion? Well, that'll be interesting because we know that, there's going to be a lot being brought up at this reunion. Because again, so much has been cut out, which I don't understand why. Why did we cut out the Cookie Crumble Chronicles text messages of Stacy being thirsty and wanting to out herself as the new housewife and then lying and then getting called out? Why do we cut that out? As much as I hate and understand, sorry, as much as I understand why Giselle wants that part of the conversation cut out because she doesn't want her daughters hearing themselves be called whores on national television, rightfully so. I almost kind of wish they did leave it in so that it could maybe hand Mia her ass a little bit so that this would be a wake-up call. Because it's just like, at what cost? I don't know. But at any rate, so hopefully Mia figures out, somebody needs to figure this out. Where are Mia's kids? Hopefully they figure it out. And hopefully Mia doesn't have to cut her trip short, even though they're not there for that long. But, it's Mia's time. Remember? It's Mia's turn to be happy. And this is not making her happy. So that was pretty much the episode, you guys. I don't know. I'm not thrilled about the season. It's okay. It's okay. It's nothing to write home about. I think, again, outside of this Karen DUI situation, which isn't being discussed on this season because she can't, it's kind of lackluster because we're relying on other things. And some of those things are really, in my opinion, disgusting. Talking to you, Mia. And, but yeah, so we'll just have to see how the rest of the season plays out. I have no idea where the season's even going in terms of how far away we are from it being close to ending because there's not even word about the reunion being filmed yet. So maybe the reunion will make up for the lackluster season. Who knows? But you guys let me know what you guys think. I'm just going to quickly go through the chat. And yes, I'm going to go through the chat and talk through some of these comments. I mean, a lot of you guys are saying a lot of the same things, but Mia's a lost cause. Thank you for the chat, Joanna. Mia's a lost cause, mess of a human being. Can't watch her anymore. So fake. Yeah. Everything just feels very staged. Shout out to Yolanda. She said, in addition, NECA accused Wendy's mother of putting her name on shrines, which appear to be serious accusations against Wendy's family. Sorry, I should have put the first part of your comment up first, Yolanda. Nneka started it with Wendy first. I do agree. I think she came in a little too hot and kind of ruined it. But I will say, in lieu of that, I still think she still could have come back for one more season. You know, I don't know if you can really get a fair view of someone in one season. So, and I must say these are my favorite comments, you guys, because this is my favorite. This is why I do it. I love recapping it. I love it, love it, love it, and I love that you guys love it and it resonates because I could do it all day. So thank you, Adam, for the comment. All right, guys, I'm going to start to close this show out because I'm sure you guys have some, little things that you need to tidy up before Christmas. But I do want to remind you, you do have a couple more days that you can stream. If you haven't noticed, the ticker at the bottom's been hinting at it. You can stream my Housewives Christmas album, Taglines and Tinsel, Housewives Christmas, everywhere you stream your music. So enjoy it while we still have, I guess you can still listen until New Year's, but it's not really the same. Anyways, thank you to everyone who has been streaming it and listening to it and using it as sounds on Instagram and TikTok. I really appreciate it. And this show will remain at the 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time slot. A lot of you guys gave me feedback when I was testing the time out last week, and you guys liked it. So thank you for that. We will stick to this time. So this week, it's going to be a little bit different because it is a holiday week, and we don't have new episodes airing outside of this one that aired last night for Potomac. I'm still confirming. I'm pretty sure it's not a new episode of Salt Lake City, even though my guide says it is coming on Christmas Day, but I doubt that. So I'm just going to go with it's not happening. But tomorrow I will be recapping the Paris and Nicole, the encore, 3 episodes, basically a simple life reunion, a flashback. Where are they now? And it was really, really good. Well done and very nostalgic. So tomorrow at 4 p.m., don't miss me recapping that for you guys. And let's say it's very cold here. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But it is what it is. It's the holidays. It's my favorite time of year, minus the cold, cold weather. But I hope you guys stay warm out there, and I hope you guys stay safe. And until the next time, guys, I will talk to you on the next one. Thank you.
We need to talk about this. Every rumor, every twist on the Georgio Says podcast. We need to talk about. So hit that play, stay in the know. Georgio's here to steal the show. On the Georgio Says podcast, we need to talk about